officiating is like the essence of abusive authority because like nobody, who are they accountable to? Nobody knows. And then if you talk bad about them at all, you're going to get
Fine.
fined,
Yeah.
slammed with
Um,
some whatever. So yeah, it's like we're a
well,
small
I
enough
find
podcast here. We can say whatever we
well,
want, I think.
this might be too political for our podcast, but officiating is a little bit like cops in that there's sometimes just like the most smug kind of, you can't tell me what to do. I'm gonna throw a flag if you talk back to me. Like, ugh,
Yeah.
I really just like watching some, like especially umps. Like when I watch baseball, I get
Oh,
so mad just the
umps
way
are
umps
very bad.
look. Like
Yeah.
they're just like so. I don't know.
But if you wanna, yeah, they're so arrogant and insecure. And obviously, like, I definitely think, with all due respect, Philly fans, like Bryce Harper, like there are Kyle Schwarber, I guess those are both
Yeah,
Philly, who's a non-Philly. Like there are some guys that sure act like big babies. It's like, good grief, go take it out in your play, go win the game,
yeah.
go smash the home run or whatever. Like Josh Donaldson
Philly
was very
love
much that way when he
Philly
was
loves Bryce Harper for it.
with the Twins. Yeah, I mean it gets views, probably gets all kinds of rage views. Um, but they're very arrogant. They're not accountable. But if you, all that to say, like if you want a cool story to watch, are you familiar with the Galagero
Mm-mm.
perfect game? This is back in, I think, 2009. Jim Joyce. This was before instant replay. Actually, kind of the thing that kicked in instant replay in the MLB. But Jim Joyce, it was a ground ball to first base. Gallagher, the pitcher, last out of the game, had pitched a perfect game. And he goes, covers first base. It's thrown over, and he gets clearly out. Jim Joyce calls him safe, and it blows the
Oh,
perfect game.
oh,
And then Jim
I
Joyce
can't I have vague memories of this.
goes in after the game, watches the replay, and from the press conference on, he's in tears and just like
Oh,
owns
that's
it. He
terrible.
blew the call. And there's recently, just this summer, a documentary on, I think it's Netflix. I forget where it is. Came out. Just kind of, yeah, they have a pretty amicable relationship right now, Jim Joyce and Galagero, and like for the tradition of baseball and all that, they don't go back and change it. So Galaghero's this no-name pitcher had this perfect game ripped out of him early in his career.
Man.
He'd later struggle with injuries and stuff. Actually, he may have struggled with injuries already before then, but you know that in itself would have made him millions in a
Right.
in a contract with somebody. Um, but I just really appreciate Galaghero's response to the bad call, and then Jim, like it's a it's someday, I don't know what I'd preach on, but someday I'm saving it as a sermon illustration for, because it's classic. Yes, Galagher was what's the term, violated. Like he was violated. Joyce was the violator. He was the authority in this situation, and both of them handled it in a way that is truly redemptive,
Hmm.
in honor on Galaghero's part, repentance on Jim Joyce's part. Yeah, it's just kind of a cool story. In the
Our,
middle of like horrible umpiring. Yeah, it's just kind of a
yeah,
cool story to.
I I get I get why, like, so like I this was a complaint I had watching the NBA really the first time that intensely last year. And there was one call where it was like everybody could see that the so they called something they went and looked at the replay, which in the NBA is like a much bigger deal, and there was clearly another violation, like another foul but they couldn't, because that's not what they were looking for, they couldn't call it. And to me, it's just like I agree. I don't want to get stuck like in like replay hell where it's just like suddenly now you're calling a dozen fouls because you're looking at the replay. But there is just something very annoying of like if you like allow, whether it's the umps on the field, the refs on the field, or some sort of replay ref, like allow them to call the right call. Like no matter what, no matter like allow them to call down to the field and say, "Hey, that wasn't a foul. Put the flag up." Like just allow them to do it, and then
Yeah.
explain to the fans why you're doing it. And I guarantee 90% of those plays, especially if you're explaining to the in-person fans who don't have a TV in front of them why
Yeah.
you're doing it, like people
Well,
will understand.
yeah, I completely agree. I also see that, like, I wonder how much that will actually solve. You
Yeah,
have the first down that was called short of the first down in the Pittsburgh Commanders game. I watched that play live. I thought it looked like he was short. I thought it looked on replay like he was short. Well, then I watched some of the football podcasts and stuff, and they're like, this looked like it made it. And so it's like even those of us watching are seeing like two different
yeah,
things. The pass interference from Detroit, which really is nullified because there was a helmet to helmet on Goff that wasn't
yeah.
called. But like that was in my mind like clearly pass interference. If it was flipped, I'm sure the Lions would have wanted pass interference. I would, if it was a Vikings game, I would have wanted
Yeah,
that to be called pass interference. But like you have people watching it on TV coming to two different conclusions about, like, we're still going to have the arguments over the call. But I
yeah,
agree that like when it like allow the replay to guide your call, because then at least we're arguing with what we saw, as opposed to like
yeah,
we saw something and the refs are, like, yeah, there's weird in every sport. There's weird things. It's like, oh, we're looking to see if where his knee dropped, and in the middle of
right,
that looking, you see that there's also contact that you didn't see
yeah,
in the middle of the play, but you can't make a ruling on that because you're only looking because for the knee or whatever. Yeah. I don't even know if
yeah,
that's a thing. I'm just saying, like, there are these weird quibble about how to use replay even in
yeah.
baseball and other sports.